Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Frenemies of the People by Culleton Bauer Luce. I guess Culleton Bauer Luce is kind of our sponsor, Eleni, when you really think about it. And so that kind of takes the pressure off Diet Coke, which is still not sponsoring Frenemies, but that gives them a little time. We keep putting all of our money back into the business. And then Eleni keeps buying beef jerky from Wally's.
Yeah.
So they're also not a sponsor, but we're kind of sponsoring both Diet Coke and Wally's. So you're welcome. You're
Mhm.
welcome, brands, big brands. Anyway, I'm Dennis. That's Eleni. And we have a special superstar guest, Sharon Samuels. Sharon and I met because we're both elite athletes. I think that's pretty obvious.
Fleet.
It's obvious for her. I don't know about
So, so she is an architect, and then she decided to take her talents to the world of filmmaking, and she's worked on some cool projects, especially here in the Shy, pun intended, Sharon. And she's worked on some cool stuff, so we're going to ask her about that. But first, she's got to sit through some of our nonsense, and this nonsense is produced by producer Grace, and it worked out pretty well if that's her name, because now she produces Enemies of the People. So let's start with, I guess, the biggest political news, because there's a lot of news. Once again, Eleni has told me there's a lot of news that is just too terrible, even for the Queen of Terribleness to cover in our podcast. But we should at least talk about, since we purport to discuss Chicago and Illinois politics and the media, that Governor Edgar has passed, two-term governor back in the 90s, passed away at the age of 79. He had been battling pancreatic cancer, and he died of complications from treatment. I saw him a couple of years ago, and he still looked younger than ever and fit, but, pancreatic cancer is a tough one, and it's aggressive, and it moves fast. So he will be missed. I got to know him personally, just being involved in politics, covered him a little bit as a reporter, and then later on got to work alongside him when I was working at another PR firm. With the loss of Governor Edgar, Eleni, we lost an already endangered species, a social, moderate, fiscal conservative governor. So what are your reflections of the loss of Jim Edgar?
it's incredibly sad and an end of an era, I feel. Right now there's so much division all over the place, on both sides, every side that exists. And I just feel like he was one of the last remaining individuals, particularly on the Republican side, that really tried to bring people together, and really try to find compromise. And that's something that not only do we not see anymore, I would say it's not allowed anymore. And it's unfortunate. And, condolences to his family, and obviously to the hundreds of people who participated in his Edgar Fellows program, well known program that God, just about everybody was a part of. And so hopefully, I'm assuming that program will live on forever and honor his legacy. That's all we could hope for.
Sharon, Jim Edgar, in his two campaigns for governor, got endorsed by the late Chicago black political activist and radio host and former advisor to Harold Washington, Lou Palmer. He got endorsed by Black Contractors United, and he more than tripled the vote and support in the black community compared with Jim Thompson, who considered himself, the man of all the people. So he took pride in that, and also in tackling some tough fiscal issues. Well, he was really something, because he was seemingly very calm at all times, and on the inside he had some royal, because he wound up having some heart issues, and he even had a bypass surgery while he was governor. And so in his post gubernatorial years when he was working as a advisor at Res Publica Group, where I was a minority partner there for a long time and had a good run. And in 2006, he was having meetings at our firm office as he was taking a pitch from Illinois Republicans asking him to make a comeback and run against Governor Blagojevich. And he told me, maybe only half joking, that he was considering it, but as he was driving back to Champaign from one of these meetings, he heard the often volatile Mayor Daley, who he had some legendary battles with in the 90s. He heard Mayor Daley's voice on the radio, going off in Chicago reporters, and he said, I felt my heart flutter and thought better of getting back into the ring. So rest in peace, Jim Edgar.
Yep.
Rest in peace.
So Sharon, let's talk
Yes.
movies. As I said, you started off as an architect, but now you are coming to us live from one of your many productions. So how did you get there? What are you working on? What are some of your cool projects?
Well, right now I am working on a series called Barbershop, which you will remember was a movie, and it was Barbershop 2. There was a beauty shop. There was also a failed barbershop series. So this is the fourth iteration, because we all know that Hollywood likes their sequels and remakes. And am I allowed to say that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
But
It's a reboot of a reboot of a reboot.
it's a reboot of a reboot, but it's really fun. Right now I'm working as set designer, which was when I first started film about 9 years ago, was my job, my original job. I've worked as an art director, production designer, and you guys know this, that recently I made my first short film, which my friend Grace worked on, and Dennis was like, oh, I like that. It is now on the festival circuit. I was director, which was totally, so fun, right? You would think it's not like, I don't know. People say, well, how did you know you could do that? It's like, I didn't. And I wasn't going to direct it at first. And then I was talking to another guy, and he was like, oh, so you're going to direct it? And I was like, oh, okay. Sure.
That sounds awesome, though. Great experience to do that.
Yeah, so it was fun. We filmed in 2.5 days. The film is a total of 14 minutes and 58 seconds with the credits, which is important. And I will tell you guys, because a lot of festivals like shorts to be 15 minutes because it's easier to program. So when we were editing, all I said to the editor was 15 minutes. And we came in at 14:58. So, yeah.
What is the film about, if you can tell us?
Well, it's loosely based on my life as an architect.
Okay.
Although the main character, he's a young architect, and he is working at a firm, and he is coming to a crossroads in his career where he has to make a choice. His boss wants him to do one thing, and then his friend wants him to do another thing. So he's trying to make this decision. And then he's also, his father is moving on to another phase of his life. So he is helping his father clean out his childhood home. And they find all these, these old trunks and a bunch of family stuff in it that he didn't know about. And he comes to a realization about his family, which kind of leads him down the road to the decision that he will make with his career.
Mm-hmm.
And loosely. That's my elevator pitch.
I have to tell you, Lenny, so producer Grace and I got to go to the film debut in Chicago.
Uh-huh.
And even though I knew it was a short, and Sharon told me it was a short, we're watching it, and I was getting so into the story, and then all of a sudden it's over. I'm like, what's going to happen? So hopefully there will be a sequel or a full-length movie at some point, because it's really well done. Some Chicago talent
Yes,
that
all
appear.
Chicago talent.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
awesome.
So It's shout out to Local Girl Made Good. Now you've worked on a bunch of Chicago. You worked on a lot of productions all over, but you worked on a bunch of well-known Chicago productions, right? In addition to the one you're working on right now.
Yeah, I worked on, let's see, I worked on Chicago Fire for a little bit. I worked on The Shine for like 2.5 seasons. I was on that show. I always say that's the show that raised me because I went from a set design. I started as a set designer, then I moved to assistant art director, and then I went to art director. Um, and Lovecraft Country, I worked on the pilot. That was that HBO show. They filmed the pilot here, and then they moved to Atlanta. So we were like, well, deuces. And Widows, there was a feature. Widows was a feature. It was Liam Neeson and Viola Davis, and it was like the girls got together. You guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so fun.
Wow.
Yeah. So some out of town stuff. I guess on right now, if you guys are interested.
Mm-hmm.
So the show before this I worked on was called Dope Thief. It was filmed in Philadelphia. So I was in Philadelphia for a while. It's on Apple Plus. It's on right now. And Brian Tyree Henry, who is the lead, was nominated for Best Lead Actor. He didn't win. The Emmys were Sunday, but he was nominated. And it's like crime drama. That's probably the best way to describe it. Crime drama.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy on the crime.
Well, that's fits in very well with our usual topic of Chicago politics.
But I have a PSA here about my experience in production because way back in the day, I worked at the Cook County Jail. I was not an inmate at the Cook County Jail. And back when Chicago Fire first started their season, they were filming their finale episode at the jail. There was like this jail scene, whatnot. And in my random tasks and working for the press office at the Cook County Jail, was coordinating a film shoot for Chicago Fire. And when I was there, I remember we were all outside filming, and it was very cool. Like David Eigenberg, Taylor Kinney, the works were all there. And I just happened to be sitting with them when they had a break. They got the call that they were getting extended for season 2. And like, I was like, just by chance, like there with them in that moment. And then we were like all hugging, and I was invited to many of their like, rap parties, and just had a really awesome experience.
Nice.
And I just learned so much about production and just all the work that goes into it. So
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's unbelievable
It's amazing. Yeah.
how many people
wouldn't
are
believe it.
involved. It's unbelievable.
Depends. I mean, it depends on the show. But I mean, you know what I tell people is everybody wants to eat the meat, but they don't want to know how it got to the plate.
Of course.
That is true. Now, Eleni and Sharon, was it a hassle to have the paparazzi following you both around?
No, they don't follow me.
Or me. Or me. I mean, everyone was very
Didn't
nice.
take the bait there.
They wanted approvals, but
They're not looking for Sharon Samuels. Sometimes I try to stand like next to somebody and just kind of
Woman of mystery. Sort of like the woman in The Natural, which was starring Robert Redford, who we also lost.
we also just lost.
And he did a lot of Chicago-related films over the years. The Natural and The Sting. Chicago played a role in that.
Oh, did I? Oh, yeah, I remember. I do remember. Yeah. Okay.
Great career. So that's enough about Hollywood and movies and all that fame and glitz that you two experienced. Now it's time to producer Grace talk about what sounds terrible, and we can't wait for it.
Ooh.
So, Eleni, do you want to show us the way? Because Sharon's never experienced a live Sounds Terrible. She's seen it as a viewer.
yeah. So I'm feeling pretty despondent lately, as you alluded to. And And I came here into the show to say, I was gonna say, and still feel like saying, like, just kind of like existing right now seems pretty terrible, like on all fronts. It's just, yeah, it's just not great. And that's probably like one of my lowest terribles I feel like I've given on here. And I'm the queen of terribleness. So I feel like almost everybody right now can relate to that feeling. And I'm just trying to be hopeful that things will change. But that and packing lunches is also on my list.
See, we don't do that because we have catering. Sorry, Lynn. I had to throw that in.
Can you send some of that to Anahan Elementary on the Northwest Side? Because I am tired of it already. So pretty terrible stuff on the front end. Tried to lighten up on the back end, but all terrible across the board.
You know, producer Grace used to get designer specialized napkins in her school lunch. Maybe we could cover that in a slow news week one of these
You
days.
weren't getting bologna sandwiches like I was.
Oh, she might have got bologna sandwiches, but she
Okay.
got designer napkins.
She got fancy napkins to cover the fact that she got a bologna sandwich.
Right. All right, Sharon, you got anything terrible you want to share?
I
Hopefully you
do.
can make us a little less sad than what Lenny just did.
Well, I do have a couple terribles, and these might go back a couple weeks because I had a couple like this sounds terrible. So, and actually one huge terrible from from the last couple Mondays. The first one is, and Dennis can relate to this, you guys might relate to. So they had this race that was supposed to take place in the Chicago River, and people say, "Oh, are you going to do the Chicago River race?" And I'm like, "No, that sounds terrible. Do I want to grow an extra like nose on my arm?
Yeah. Third eye. I mean, like, what are we looking for here?
Who does that?" And I proceed to say, do you know that they reversed the river because they wanted to flush all the sewage down to the Mississippi? Do you guys know that? Am I the only one who reads here? That sounds terrible. The other thing that sounds terrible and actually is terrible is like, okay, so I went to this, it doesn't even sound terrible, but it is terrible. I went to, so the Bears were on Monday Night Football, like last week, not this week.
Yep.
We're not even going to talk about this week. Well, the Bears season. This is all leading up to the Bears season. So me and my friend went to, it's their home, Monday Night Football. We're like, yeah. So we go to this happy hour that starts at 3. I obviously was not working on a job yet. And we go at 3. The game starts at 7. So I'm texting with my friends, and we're like, "Oh, we're going to this happy hour. It starts at 3. They have drinks. They have a buffet. The buffet's all this fried food, drinks." And my friend texts me back, "That sounds terrible," because it was hot, and it was because we had to go home at 5:00. I was on my couch, sleep. 7:15. Leads me to my last terrible, guys. The Bears season.
It's already
It's already
it's
terrible.
already terrible. Now I have a sounds terrible that relates to the Bears season, but before that, I also want to point out that when I was a boy reporter covering crime in Chicago, I used to cover dead bodies in the Chicago River,
Oh,
and I don't think that stopped as a thing. So next
I think it's
time,
the norm. Like, oh, another body. Okay, whatever.
in fact, one of the dead bodies I covered in the Chicago River, and my editor calls me. I was out like running around with my tape recorder and microphone, and he says, "There's a dead body on the Chicago River at LaSalle," and I'm like, "Are you making me cover a dead body at LaSalle?" And he goes, "Yeah. What if the dead body is Mayor Daley?" I'm like, "Oh my God." So I go to the dead body. It was not Mayor Daley, but it was on the first district side of the Chicago River, which was a borderline between the first district and the 18th district. So the joke used to be that the cops would just push the body over to the other side of the river so that they would have to carry it, because in crime circles, they call dead bodies in the Chicago River poppers. I'm not gonna. It's a family podcast. We're not gonna get into anymore as to why they're called that, but I guess it's not pleasant. Okay, the other thing that sounds terrible to me is uh, related to the Bears is cornerback Jalen Johnson in the very unsuccessful recent game where the Lions shellacked the Bears.
Yeah.
He leaped to deflect a pass in the second quarter and then fell to the turf. When you see the replay, he just goes down like a bag of cement.
Hmm.
And he was ruled out for the day. Now, over the summer, he had torn his adductor muscle off of his pelvic bone. And this time, he hurt the other side of his groin. So, groin injuries, ripping muscles off your adductor bone, I think that sounds really terrible.
Game over.
Dude, the most terrible thing today.
That's game over, Dennis. Because I just like pictured that,
You flinched. You winced.
and yeah,
Now, think about how you would do that from a special effects perspective and a sound perspective. And
I
as
think
you,
it's preferable that it is special effects and not
yeah,
real life.
I mean, it's makeup. It's it's like a prosthetic, and then it's makeup, and then you cut, and then you come back, and the dude's just like
laying on the ground. Yeah,
laying on the ground.
yeah,
So
rolling over. All right. Well, if it sounds terrible, it's Frenemies of the People. So we want to thank soon to be famous film director, already famous to us, film director Sharon Samuels, and of course, Eleni, our regular contributor, and producer Grace. And until next time, if it's terrible, it's Frenemies of the People.
guys, I had so much fun. Thank you.